Hey folks, good morning. Beautiful day, sun is up. What the weather's really good. It's not too hot, not too cold, just perfect for me. It's perfect springtime weather. So something came up in a discussion with a couple friends of mine, and it's a discussion about the level of professionalism and the level of experience people have. In recent times, one of the things that we hear we hear certain key words, key aspects about um, the the jobs and things like that. Because in this job market, the level of understanding is always questionable. But this one is fascinating to me because it's based on the ideal of leadership. A friend of mine said it in his perspective. He said, in the years he's been working at this organization or company, there's always been a challenging part of the discussion. The biggest part of the discussion is about how experienced, or what does their supervisors, their managers, their leaders have that makes them who they are. It became a question because a lot of organizations are going outside the box, hiring people. No problem with that. I've seen that happen to a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, a lot of groups have done that for many years. But this perspective was very uh, reflective, because there's something I don't realize as a person who's been in this job market, is that I always feel people have a way to decipher what they see or what they hear in a job. But what my friends were talking about was that when people already know what their supervisor or leader have or will bring in, and you wonder how did they get this job, or what kind of experience does he or she have to lead us. The first thing I've learned is something that a lot of managers, supervisors, and organizations seems to have gotten. Okay, when you bring in a new leader that's outside the family, the organization, the company, and you want to put the perspective on what he or she can bring in, please bring in somebody who understands what type of people they're leading. I've seen so many organizations and teams and whatever you want to call bring in somebody because they're efficient. This is okay. Great, hire that person, but don't hire that person if he or she doesn't even know what their job is, what the job of that division, the company, the team, the organization. That has become so turbulent on that mindset, because when people says I'm bringing somebody new, they're looking at that job and say, hey man, are they there to cut people? Are they there to cut cost? You don't have to say it. Companies and organization team members, they know you hired that person to cut jobs, to cut costs, to cut this. That's easy. You don't even have to explain that. But it's the integrity, the character, and the line many organizations, many leadership are using. For me, the question from the perspective of my friends were, what would you do if you were that boss who's hiring somebody? I said, that's simple. It's the same mindset I was taught 30, 40 years ago. If you're going to bring somebody in, let's be sure that person understands the job of these people, the job of this organization, this job of the division, this department, this team. Don't just put them in that position and expect cohesiveness and understanding. Yes, he or she is going to be your boss, the boss. No problem with that. But you still want to continue the cohesive aspect of that situation. You don't want somebody to be a residual of the issue and make it a problem where they have to find a way to fix it later on. The first thing is just be honest. I'm bringing somebody in. Don't conform. Don't create large verbiage that equates to something that people are wondering what the heck are you talking about. Just be honest. Second, have somebody who will do the research, who will sit there and understand what their job is. If they have to go to the floor and talk to the team members and ask what they do, learn from them. The same thing when we were in the military. Okay, one of the things I learned is that great leaders listen to the ground crew, will listen to the team. Young leaders will bring in their experience, their passion, their energy. At the same time, they will sit down and listen to the sergeant major. They will sit down to listen to the master chief, and so on, so on, and so on. We'll listen down to the warrant. They will learn from them the nit and the grit of the job and what it needs to be done. The biggest thing I see often is that people are willing to learn and grow, but you need to bring a leader who is willing to develop and understand what this position he or she is getting into. Why am I talking about this? It's just in the recent times I've seen too many individuals wondering how the heck did somebody get this position? What kind of experience he or she brings into this job that will make him or her the most adequate person qualified? I asked that question not as frequent as I did years ago, but I still ask it because people are questioning that aspect now in many of the jobs that's in the market today. What I want people to understand is that there's a level of integrity that needs to be provided in this aspect, and it starts with communication. It starts with really understanding the basis of what the team and the organization is creating. But more often than not, you need a leader who is going to be starting in the ground by listening to the team, being honest, have the integrated character and the ethics to stand there and do the right thing. Don't create a bubble that's going to explode because you bring in somebody who don't understand or don't know what these team members do for a living. I've seen it happen. I've seen that happen in ways that people don't think it should happen. Because if you create that kind of bubble, if you create that kind of issue, you're going to have detrimental aspects that's going to create a problem. And that's the thing that I see too many times in many organizations and teams where they bring in somebody knowingly that that person has no knowledge of what this team or organization does to the does as a whole. Perception and assumption, like I said to my wife years ago, is cluster F. Don't presume you know what the job is. Don't assume that you can lead these people just because you've led a $1 billion company. Do the right thing. Learn from the team. Know what they do. Find out what each one provide. Be honest. If people is gonna be let go, let them understand it will happen. But don't have a headhunter get in there and start chopping heads without even knowing what they're doing. I've seen companies and organizations, they bring in a headhunter, a year or so later, they regret the choice. Not because they thought they could do it. No, they never did due diligence, any research, any assessment, any projection. They look at the thing as money, as financial. There's nothing wrong with it, but you got to do your research. You got to do a deep dive. You got to understand how volatile this issue is. How does it, how will it help the team, the organization? If you go in there and bring in somebody who don't know what these members do for a living and what the effort they have to bring in, you will never get a second or third chance. I've seen that happen too many times, and companies and organizations and teams have regretted. So, what do you think? Do you think companies and organizations and teams that hire somebody outside the family, outside the teams, who have no knowledge of what the team does, is that a good idea? For me, it's still a great idea. I think bringing somebody outside who can bring in a new, can stimulate the this organization, this team, is important. But at the same time, you need somebody who also will do due diligent and learn from what's out there and what they provide. That's important. So for now, you take care, you stay safe, and always help each other and stay safe. And again, great leaders listen to those people that's in the ground. Great leaders are willing to learn and grow and develop. That's important. So please, if you're a leader, do the best you can, but at the same time, learn from others and learn from yourself and do some deep research. So for now, take care, stay safe, and enjoy whatever nice weather you got.